Welcome to Poetry in the Woods. The magic of art is we can both look at the same painting and see two completely different things. And I don't think there's ever been a song that had the same effect as Don McLean's 1971 song, American Pie. It's 8.5 minutes long, so I won't keep repeating the refrain. Let's get into it. A long, long time ago, I can still remember how that music used to make me smile. And I knew if I had my chance, then I could make those people dance and maybe they'd be happy for a while. Well, the purpose of rock and roll was to make people dance, and it's why McLean wanted to be a musician in the first place. But February made me shiver. Buddy Holly, who the song is about mostly, died on February 3rd, 1959 in a plane crash during a snowstorm. With every paper I delivered, Don McLean's only job besides being a full-time singer-songwriter was being a paper boy. Bad news on the doorstep. I couldn't take one more step. I can't remember if I cried when I read about his widowed bride. Buddy Holly's bride was pregnant when the plane crash took place, and she had a miscarriage shortly afterwards. But something touched me deep inside the day the music died. The same plane crash that killed Buddy Holly also took the lives of Ritchie Valens and the Big Bopper. Since all three were so prominent at the time, February 3rd, 1959 became known as the day the music died. Now, there was a fourth person who was supposed to be on that plane, but there was only room for three, and that person lost the toss, or should say, won the toss. His name is Waylon Jennings, and to this day, he refuses to talk about the plane crash. Now we get into the refrain. Bye-bye, Miss American Pie. Drove my Chevy to the levee, but the levee was dry. Them good old boys were drinking whiskey and rye, singing, "This will be the day that I die. This will be the day that I die." One of Buddy Holly's hits was "That Will Be the Day." The chorus contained the line, "That will be the day that I die." Did you write the Book of Love? The song The Book of Love by the Monotones was a hit in 1958. And do you have faith in God above if the Bible tells you so? Now, do you believe in rock and roll? Can music save your mortal soul? And can you teach me how to dance real slow? Well, I know that you're in love with him because I saw you dancing in the gym. You both kicked off your shoes. During the beloved sock hop era, street shoes couldn't be worn because they would tear up the wooden basketball floors in the gyms. So dancers had to take off their shoes and dance in their socks. Man, I dig those rhythm and blues. I was a lonely teenage ronkin' buck with a pink carnation and a pickup truck. Now, this may come from the song A White Sports Coat and a Pink Carnation. It was a hit from Marty Robbins in 1957. But I knew that I was out of luck the day the music died. Now, for 10 years, we've been on our own. McLean wrote American Pie in the late 60s, about 10 years after the crash. And moss grows fat on a rolling stone. It's unclear who the Rolling Stone is. Some say it's Dylan, others say it's Elvis. But that's not how it used to be. When the Jester sang for the King and Queen, the Jester is Bob Dylan. He played a command performance for Queen Elizabeth and Prince Philip. In a coat he borrowed from James Dean. In the movie Rebel Without a Cause, James Dean has a red windbreaker that holds a symbolic meaning throughout the film. On the cover of the Freewheelin' Bob Dylan, Dylan is wearing a red windbreaker. And a voice that came from you and me. Folk music is by definition the music of the masses, hence came from you and me. Oh, and while the king was looking down, the jester stole his thorny crown. This could be a reference to Elvis's decline and Dylan's rise. The thorny crown is often referred to as the price of fame. The courtroom was adjourned. No verdict was returned. This is believed to be about the trial of the Chicago Seven. And while Lennon read a book on Marx, John Lennon literally was reading Karl Marx, and it was the introduction of radical politics into the music of the Beatles. The quartet practiced in the park. Well, this is a reference to the Beatles playing Shea Stadium. And we sang dirges in the dark. A dirge is a funeral song, and this symbolizes maybe the collective grief over the assassinations of John F. Kennedy, Robert Kennedy, and Martin Luther King. Helter Skelter in the Summer Swelter? Helter Skelter is the Beatles song that Charles Manson said inspired him to kill. The birds flew off with a fallout shelter 8 miles high and falling fast. The Birds' 8 Miles High song was on their late 1966 release. It was one of the first records to be widely banned because of drug-oriented lyrics. It landed foul on the grass. Well, one of the birds was busted for possession of marijuana. The Players tried for a forward pass. This could be the Rolling Stones that he's referring to, because they were waiting for an opening which didn't really come until the Beatles broke up. With the jester on the sidelines in a cast. On July 29, 1966, Dylan crashed his motorcycle and spent 9 months in seclusion while recuperating. Now, the halftime air was sweet perfume, of course drugs, while the Sergeants played a marching tune, and obviously the Beatles' Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. We all got up to dance, but we never got the chance. Well, the Beatles in 1966 played at Candlestick Park, and the concert only lasted 35 minutes. The Players tried to take the field. The marching band refused to yield. This is a reference to the dominance of the Beatles on the rock and roll scene. Do you recall what was revealed the day the music died? And there we were all in one place. Of course, this is Woodstock, a generation lost in space with no time left to start again. So come on, Jack be nimble, Jack be quick. This is a reference to Mick Jagger of the Rolling Stones' Jumpin' Jack Flash. Jack Flash sat on a candlestick. This is the Stones' Candlestick Park concert, because fire is the devil's only friend. And as I watched him from the stage, my hands were clenched in fists of rage. No angel born in hell could break that Satan's spell. When the Rolling Stones played at Altamont Speedway in 1968, they hired members of the Hells Angels to work security. The biker gang beat and stabbed a young man to death. Public outcry that the song Sympathy for the Devil had incited the violence caused the Stones to drop that song from their show for the next 6 years. And as the flames climbed high into the night to light the sacrificial rite, this could be a reference to Jimi Hendrix burning his Stratocaster at the Monterey Pop Festival. I saw Satan laughing with delight the day the music died. I met a girl who sang the blues, this is Janis Joplin, and I asked her for some happy news, and she just smiled and turned away. Janis died of an accidental heroin overdose on October 4th, 1970. I went down to the Sacred Store where I had heard the music years before. This refers to record stores, of course. But the man there said the music wouldn't play. And in the streets, the children screamed. The 60s flower children were often beaten by police and National Guard troops at protests and concerts. The lovers cried and the poets dreamed, but not a word was spoken. The church bells all were broken. And the 3 men that I admire most, the Father, Son, and the Holy Ghost, Buddy Holly, the Big Bopper, and Ritchie Valens, they caught the last train for the coast the day the music died. Every line of American Pie has been stripped bare, and your interpretation may be different from my interpretation, and that's the beauty of the song. And that's what a good song is all about. That's how you write one. If you like poetry in the woods, like and follow, and come hiking with me.
A long, long time ago,